Hello everyone, my name is Gaurav Khan and welcome to my channel Embryo Talks where we discuss basics of embryology. Today I'm going to talk about something which is very relevant, that what to do when you have high sperm DNA fragmentation. Either to use the easy way, means the ejaculate, or to use the invasive way, testicular sperm. We all know that this high DNA fragmentation is actually a thorn in the flesh. It gives you poor embryo morphology, poor pregnancy rate, and higher miscarriages. So what all we can do in the lab? Let's check it out. So what to do when you have high sperm DNA fragmentation, either to use the ejaculate or the testicular sperm. So this all starts from a theory that there are 6 ways by which sperm DNA fragmentation can occur. It starts from the sperm cell, spermatogenesis, and then to the spermiogenesis, and then the impact of radiation and the chemicals, and finally because of rate, because of environment. But the biggest reason of sperm DNA fragmentation is the ROS. Means when the sperm moves from the testis to the ejaculate, there are ROS impact, and that causes higher DNA fragmentation in the ejaculate. So that leads to the assumption that the testicular sperm has better DNA integrity. It can give you better embryo development. It can give you better live birth rate. So there are many ways on which we can compare ejaculate versus testicular sperm. But the most 4 important factors are the availability of the technique or the sample, the reproducibility, means how easy it is to repeat the procedure. Third, what studies talks about it. And fourth, is there any other way by which we can select the sperm with lower DNA fragmentation and we are not invasive? So let's talk about the availability. See, getting the ejaculate is quite easy. It is painless and doesn't take time. You just give the container to the patient and it will give you back in 5, 10, 20 or 30 minutes. It has good motility, good morphology, easy to choose for IVF or ICSI. Sperm extraction, it is difficult. It is painful. You poke the needle inside the testis. Sometimes you cut it and you don't stop there. You tear the testicular tissue and then finally you get the sperm. So once we compare the ejaculate versus testicular sperm, see, ejaculate sperm has better motility, morphology, easy to choose for IVF or ICSI. But on the other hand, when you have testicular sperm, they have a really poor morphology, poor motility. Sometimes it takes 3 to 4 hours to find enough number of sperm for ICSI. And it is being proven by studies that the motility in the testicular sperm is around 3% and it has 0% of morphology. So apart from the complication of hematoma and bleeding, because of the testicular sperm extraction, there are anatomical changes, there are physiological changes. So whenever you are poking a needle, means once, twice, or thrice, there are fibrosis, there are microcalcification, there are atrophies. As you can see in this slide, there are microcalcification and fibrosis at that particular area. Means you are stopping the spermatogenesis at that particular area. And also there is a reduction in the testosterone level. So this systemic review and meta-analysis talks about that. It shows that the testosterone level goes below 12 nanomole per liter, and patient may have a symptoms of hypogonadism for 6 months after TACE. That leads to small testis, erectile dysfunction, gynecomastia, hot flushes, metabolic syndrome, mild anemia, and whatnot. And worst is this: out of 66 patients of non-obstetric azoospermia with TACE, 13 had symptoms of erectile dysfunction. So on the temptation of getting a sperm with lower DNA fragmentation, what we are doing? We are ruining the sexual life of the patient. The spermatogenesis is not uniform in the testis. It is patchy, means happening at certain places. And whenever you are poking the needle, there are microcalcification, there are atrophies, and you are reducing the sperm production of the testis. So we get the sperm, we did the ICSI, and we got the good embryos and we transferred them. But pregnancy is not there. What you will do now? We all know that the IVF results with IVF or ICSI is not 100%. What you're going to do now? Are you going to poke the testis again? Means TACE or TASA? Or you're going to use the sperm from the previous extraction? So let me tell you that freezing and thawing has its own issues. It reduces the sperm morphology and increases the sperm DNA fragmentation. Then why to do the TACE? Let's talk about other evidences. For any embryologist, the worst form of sperm is cryptozoospermia, where only 4 to 40 sperms are there. So this meta-analysis talks about that. What to do in cryptozoospermia, either to use the ejaculate or the testicular sperm. And they have found that there is no difference in the pregnancy rate or the fertilization rate when you are using either the ejaculate or the testicular sperm in cryptozoospermia. The another issue, see, in Cryptozoospermia, the spermatogenesis is happening at a very few places. And whenever you are poking the needle, there are atrophies, microcalcification, and patient may land up into azoospermia. There is one systemic review by Sandro Esteves which talks about the benefit of using testicular sperm in high DNA fragmentation. And it says that you can increase the live birth rate by 2.5 fold. But the issue is that in this, where we compared the live birth rate, there are only 2 studies, and one study belongs to the author himself. So just on the basis of 100 patients from the other study, we cannot decide what should be done to the whole world. And at the end, the author expressed his concern about the aneuploidy. Yes, there are chances that when we are going to the testicular sperm, we can choose the immature sperm and we can inject it, and there are higher chances of making the aneuploid embryos. There are another systemic review by Hatim Awaga which says that there is no difference in pregnancy rate or the live birth rate when you're using ejaculated sperm or the testicular sperm. Can we do something else? Can we use a technique by which we are non-invasive and select the sperm with lower DNA fragmentation? Yes, Sandro Esteves and Dr. Ashok Agarwal talks about that. There are many ways. The best of them is the PIXI, where you can reduce the DNA fragmentation by 68%. There are higher chances of finding a sperm with lower DNA fragmentation. There are other techniques as well, like microfluidics. In this, you can select the sperm with almost 0% of DNA fragmentation. Even I have presented my paper in ASHRAE, where we have demonstrated that when you use the microfluidics in higher DNA fragmentation, you make better embryos and there are better clinical pregnancy rate and live birth rate. Why not to have apple versus apple comparison? Means one side you have a technique by which you can select the sperm with lower DNA fragmentation, and on the other hand, you use testicular sperm. Then you'll get to know which technique is better and where you're getting a sperm, better sperm and better live birth rate. So at the end, we can say that when you're using the ejaculated sperm, there is a better concentration, better motility, better morphology. It is easy to repeat. And in Cryptozoospermia, definitely it is better to use the ejaculated sperm. DFI, we still don't know, but we can use a technique which can let you select the sperm with lower DNA fragmentation. Aneuploidy rate is high in testicular sperm. Clinical outcome, we have to compare between the technique where we can select a better sperm with the testicular sperm. At the end, I want to say that when you have a patient with higher sperm DNA fragmentation, don't just jump to testicular sperm. Apply a technique like PIXI and microfluidics and save the men. Thank you.